What's going on, guys? This is Nathan, the Script Academy, welcoming you to our next deck profile here on the channel. And today we are profiling a deck made by me, so it's probably going to be bad, but let's go ahead and we're going to jump right into it. This is my going second Spright deck. The main focus of this deck is really just breaking the board that your opponent is building and then OTKing them. The reason behind that is a lot of people are making boards, and it's all about if you make a board, can you keep that board? And if you are going second, can you break the board that your opponent makes? And I found that it was a whole lot easier to break the board that my opponent is making instead of having to try and make a board that is unbreakable. So let's go ahead, we're going to jump right into it, and I'll kind of explain things along the way. We're going to start off with the main Spright in the deck. Obviously, this is going to be your Spright Blue. Spright Blue is here. Obviously, he is the searcher of the deck. He is what makes the deck run. If you don't have Spright Blue in here, it's not going to work out too well for you. Next up, we have our 3 Spright Jet. Jet is also another searcher in the deck. He's going to be adding your spells and traps, mostly your spells. You can grab your starter, your Gamma Burst, and or your smashers. I like grabbing the Gamma Burst because the entire premise of this deck is to OTK, so you want to have that Gamma Burst as soon as possible. At one point, I was going to be manning 2 of them, but I kind of felt that it was cloggy. But who knows, maybe we'll get back to it. Next up, we are playing 2 Spright Red. That is going to be your Monster Negator, as well as 2 Spright Carrot. That's your Spell and Trap Negator. I felt like the more names that I had in here, the better, just because you can literally just pop out 4 of these with the Gamma Burst, and that's game if you can clear off their board. Next up, we are playing the last Spright. That is going to be your Spright Pixies. This is in here for keeping your stuff alive if you need to. You could like starter into a blue, add the Pixies. You can't elf back the Pixies anymore, unfortunately, but you can still add it off the blue, and that can kind of protect you when it comes to your opponent's turn if they're going to be attacking. Next up, we are playing 3 Swap Frog. I like to be known as the Frog Guy, so we got to play 3 of those. We're going to be going into that Totally Awesome quite a lot if we're going first, as well as if we're not able to break our opponent's board down and OTK them. I also like having this here, that way we can make that toad in the end as well. Next up, we are playing 3 Nimble Beaver, as well as 2 Nimble Angler. Always got to have this in here with that sprint going on. Got to be able to dump that Angler, and then be able to special summon the Beavers, as well as having the 3 Swap Frog in there to ditch the Beaver as well. Kind of good. Next, we are playing 2 Wind Up Kitten. Like I said, this entire deck's premise is going to be removing my opponent's stuff off the board and then OTKing. So that Wind Up Kitten helps us get rid of things off our opponent's board, sending it back to either to extra deck or to their hand, and then we can go in for some major damage. Next up, we're playing 3 Gamma Seal. I was maining Nib in this before. I ended up switching this out to the Gamma Seal, just because a lot of people were playing around it at the time. I'm not sure if people are still playing around Nib as of right now, especially with Kashtir and whatnot, but when I was playing this competitively at regionals, people were just getting to that red start and then just passing, and I wasn't actually able to use that Nib. So having the Gamma Seal here to get rid of those problematic cards kind of works out well for us. Moving on to the spells, we've got our 3 Spright starter. That's going to get you to wherever you need, either the blue, jet, carrot, red. Pixies if you really need to, if you're getting desperate running out of names. Allows you to get to a level 2, so you can go into some Xyz like Gigantic, as well as Sprint if you really need to. And then next we got the 1 Smashers for removal, and the 1 Gamma Burst. Gamma Burst is kind of the OP card of the deck. Bumps everything that's level 2, rank 2, link 2, etc. up by 1400 attack. And surprisingly, a lot of those, once they get that 1400 boost, deal quite a lot of damage. Moving on, we are playing 2 Prosperities. That's going to be for your draw engine. Be able to add what you need to when you need to. I like having this in here, but at the same time, whenever I activate it, I always have an issue where I'm probably going to be banishing things that later on in the duel I'm going to want. So it's kind of a catch-22. Next up, we got some removal cards. We got our 3 Lightning Storm. Like I said, we are going second here. This is a going second Spright deck, so you want to have these in here to get rid of your opponent's back row, as well as monsters, depending on what they have going on for them. You have this in here going first, or going second, clear off their boards. We do have stuff in the side deck to switch these out if we are planning on going first. So we'll get to that when we get to the side deck. Next up, we're playing 3 Forbidden Chalice. I was kind of told to play this over the Imperm. I was maining Imperms instead, but with Trap Tricks being a thing for quite a while, when they're unaffected by traps, this helped me be able to do that. I do kind of miss having the Imperm when it comes to like activating things from hand, but at the same time, if I go up against somebody and they're unaffected by traps, it doesn't really work out. And this also can help you, say they're attacking into you, you can boost up your attack. If they're trying just to like suicide out, you can boost your attack up by 400, which that has come into play for me, so kind of cool. And then we are playing 3 traps in the main deck. We've got the 3 Evenly Matched. Like I said, we are just trying to break our opponent's board as quickly as possible. Whether that literally just be drawing for turn and then going straight to main phase and then going into the battle phase and then just trying to get rid of them. Also helps because if they have anything that could negate it, maybe a Brone on the field, you got that Gamma Seal in your hand, you can Gamma Seal whatever problematic negator they might have on their field, and then evenly, and then you're good to go. But alright, that is the entire main deck. 40 cards. Was at 43 for a while, I cut it down. Consistency seems to be doing pretty good. I don't think there were any times where I really bricked with the deck. Let's go ahead, we'll jump into the extra deck. We're starting off with the 2 Gigantic Spright. Obviously the deck couldn't work without this card in here. One of the best cards, allows you to get to any of your level 2s. A lot of times you're going into you can go into like a blue if you don't already have it, get to the jet the starter, or get to the Gamma Burst so you can do your DK plays. Same time, if you already have that, or maybe you already got to the jet to get your Gamma Burst, you can do this to go to the kitten, bounce your opponent's card back, etc, etc. So it kind of depends on what the field is looking like, but 2 of those. We're also playing the 1 Mannequin Cat. I know this is kind of run out of favor recently. A lot of people aren't really liking too much right now. I do still play a couple things in the side to use with this card. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that when we get to the side deck. Next up, probably one of the best cards in here, Daigusto Phoenix. This card, I didn't even realize this card was this good, but you can detach to target itself, so it can attack twice. He's only at 1500 attack, but with that Gamma Burst, it turns into 29, so being able to attack twice with a 2900 beast stick, he can either clear off monsters that are still on the board that you couldn't get rid of prior to that, or you can actually push for a lot of damage and possibly game just him. Next up, we got the 1 Soul Sweeper. He's in here because you can detach to banish a monster on your opponent's side of the field until the end of their next turn. So again, allows you to clear off things that you couldn't actually get rid of before, maybe you couldn't push over it, and then you can go in for game. Next up, we got my Bay. We got the Totally Awesome. Obviously, he's totally awesome. You use this guy going first, set up a good negate on the board, as well as being able to, if you're not able to finish them off, if you're going second, you can end on this and still have that negate for the next turn follow up. And hopefully, you've broken their board enough that they only have 1 or 2 cards in their hand, and they don't have enough to try and get around you. Next up, we are playing the Cavalry, the Mosquito, Magician, and then 2 Zeus in here for the Zeus package. That is it for the Xyz. Moving on to the Lynx, we're rocking Double Sprint. Super good card. I never realized how good this card was for the longest time. I was always just like making this, then going into the Gigantic, and then getting that boost with that attack. I never even thought about how you could use him to do the whole bouncing effect, so that comes in really well. Did not realize it's targeted though, so keep in mind that it does target. So if there's untargetable things you're trying to bounce, does it work? Last 2 in the extra deck, we got the Reproductus, and then the Bujinki Ashihima. So these are in here trying to get you into your Totally Awesome as quickly as possible. If you don't know what Reproductus does, it's going to copy it's going to make everything on your field that type. So like you can like point to like the swap rog on your field and make everything off, and then you can get into your Toad. That is the extra deck. 15 cards, obviously. I think it's pretty good. There's nothing I'd really change about it. Let's go ahead. We'll jump into the side deck. Cover a few things on what we would side out, side in, etc. if we're going to be going first instead of second. So the first thing that we got in here is the 3 Ash Blossom. For the longest time I didn't really want to play this card, but because Brandon is a really good deck right now, you have to be able to stop that Brandon Fusion. So that's in here for that, as well as other decks that might be going off when it comes to searching or dumping things to the grave. And again, I really don't like Branded, so we got the Dimensional Barrier. I especially don't like the gimmick version, so if you play that gimmick version, Chris, sorry, I don't like ya. But yeah, the Dimensional Barrier in here to stop that. It can also stop if people are still randomly playing other decks like Sword Soul. Synchros can hit that as well. Super good card if you're going first. Next up, we do still need some removal if we are going to be going first. If you're going first, you're going to have monsters on the field, so you can't really use your Lightning Storms. So we are setting in the 2 Twin Twister and then the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. I like the Twin Twisters just because you can just set them on your turn if you're going first. Wait for them to set cards in their back row, but they go, and then you can always chain it and pop them. So that's pretty good. Next up, because time rules exist, we have the Scatter Shot and the Resonator. I like to go for the Resonator if I can. That just allows you to gain life points instead of burning in case there's an issue with that. So you can just bring this out with the Gigantic. Gain your life points that you need to get. Maybe they stop that. The reason I play 2 of these, should say that first. If they stop your Resonator, say you have the Gigantic on the field with an Extender, and they stop at your gigantic to get to the resonator to try and gain life, you can make the sprint to dump the scatter shot. So that's why we play both. Next up, we have a couple cards here for the Mannequin Cat. We have the one spell canceller in here. That right now is just for Sky Striker. It is going to stay in the side deck for Heavy Samurai when that starts getting pretty much powered up, just because it can stop just spells, so pendulums and whatnot. Next, we're playing the one Scareclaw Kashtira. If you don't know what this card does, so during the main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, you banish one Kashtira or Scareclaw card from your hand or graveyard. You're not really special summoning it from your hand. You're going to be doing it from the deck with your Mannequin Cat. So if they summon their own Kashtira. So the reason behind that is this card can attack while face up defense position. Has 2600 attack, so it can push over most of the things that are Kashtira based. And then if it does, you can apply the defense for damage calculations. And then if your Kashtira monster, aka the Scareclaw Kashtira, monster battles an opponent's monster, and your opponent's monster effects are negated. So like, say you're going to be having this on the field, you can attack into their Unicorn, you can attack into their Fenrir, and negate their effects. That's kind of good. I think anyway. Might be a tech that's bad. I just like it. I think it was a cool card. I was just trying to think of things I could put in here just for that deck. And then last thing, hasn't come up for quite a while, but I still do play the one Double Cross and then the one Newman. This is for the Newman lock, so you can like make the Newman so they can't really do anything. So you dump this with your Swap Frog, and then you can Double Cross it back if you need to. You also play the Double Cross in here too if you're going first. That way you can like side this in. That way you can set it, and then like if you're using your Toad, you can tribute it off to negate, bring back your Toad so you have a second negate. So yeah, and that is the entire deck. 15 cards on the side, 15 in the extra, 40 in the main. But that is all I've got, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did enjoy today's deck profile, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell on the way to the door, because all your support is greatly appreciated. But make sure to stay tuned. Later on this week, we will have some live duels, so you can see this deck in action. I usually lose my live duels, so we'll see what happens there. But that's all I've got for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, this is Nathan the Scrub Captain, signing out for now. Peace out!